Welcome back to Learning and Unlearning. In going into spring, I was thinking about how it's been a long, hard couple of years, and spring feels like a literal weight comes off, not just the weight of our heavy winter clothes and the weight that the ground bears with the snow. And so I thought that people could use a few pieces of advice or lessons to improve their lives, maybe little reminders of what is important in life and how to kind of refocus yourself this spring and give yourself that fresh start that is always associated with spring. These 3 lessons I learned from my grandmothers and my mother, and I chose those people because it was so clear to me what the lessons were, just one per person, so 3 lessons total in this episode. There are tons of other lessons that I have learned from those people, and also lessons that I learned from current family and friends who are not going to be mentioned in this podcast episode. But sometimes I think when you're close to people and you're still figuring out your relationship with them, it can be hard to sum it up into what the biggest lesson is. And sometimes we're still doing that growth in how we interact with one another, where you could say, oh, they taught me how to make this recipe. Sure. But in this case, I'm talking about like bigger approaches to life, and I found it really easy to think of when I thought about both my grandmothers and simplified, some things that I knew about them and how I got lessons from those things. Both of them have passed away, and so looking back, I think there is some good perspective to see what lessons I could draw for this episode from them, since it's been some time since I have been with them. And the one from my mom is just so obvious to me. I know her really, really well. And even though I know other people really well, I think this lesson is one that's easily forgotten, and it's a great reminder for us. So without further ado, here are the 3 lessons for improving your life this spring. The lesson from Grandma Jeanette is that you can learn how to do anything you want. You can change your life whenever you want. Whatever you want to learn, there's no timeline, there's no expectation. And the reason that I learned this from her is actually just hearing things about her. While she was alive, her kids, my dad, my aunts and uncle, they told me things about her. Somebody told me she learned how to drive at an older age. I don't know how old she was. I'm gonna throw out a number and say she was like 40 years old. She learned how to drive, and I'm pretty sure that she wanted to learn how to do that so she could get a job. Her kids were growing up and she was gonna drive herself to her job. And if I'm wrong, someone will let me know, but it doesn't matter in learning the lesson, where if you want to do something, you can do it at any time. It doesn't matter how old you are, or if that's a thing that people normally do at another age. You can change your life whenever you want on your timeline. And through the years, I've found that extremely reassuring, because it can feel so intimidating to make really big decisions, like what your career might be, or where you might go to college, or where you are going to live, or who you might choose to marry. Those are big decisions, and I think most people want to pick the right choice, and it's just really nice to know that if you want a different career, you can have it. Or it's okay if you want to move. It's your life, and even if it seems too late or something, it's not. You can go out and change your life and do what you want to do. Lesson number 2, going on to my grandma Miriam, I want to say we had sort of a complicated relationship, or maybe it wasn't complicated. What it was I was a child and she used to tell people what to do all the time. And I know that she was a really anxious person, and coming from a place of anxiety, she worried a lot. She wanted things to be the best for you and for her. She wanted things to turn out right. She wanted to do things the right way. And that comes from perhaps perfection, but that comes from caring. Like when you care about things and how they turn out, or if you care about people and their performance, like doing your homework for school, it's because they care that you are successful. So she had a lot of love, and she loved me and the rest of our family, and it came out with her like nervousness and anxiety, telling us what to do or when to do it or how to do it. And that was frustrating for me as a child because I really didn't understand it. I just found it kind of annoying, and I was not super respectful towards her, where I would be like, okay, grandma, like I'll do it later, you know. Instead of agreeing and doing what she wanted, I would push back and let that tone come through my voice of being frustrated. So the lesson, though, is the lesson that I learned the more I aged and became wiser and spent more time with her. My grandma had emphysema, and she had an oxygen tank, and the cord was God knows how many feet long. And when she would come visit us, she sat in a chair a lot of the time. She would get out of breath, you know, walking around the house or standing too long to cook. So she really didn't cook. She like microwaved things, and she watched TV a lot, and she had a lot of medicine. And so anyways, so as I got older and became an older teenager, I realized that the lesson was that I could listen to her and do what she wanted in that moment, and it didn't really bother me. It was like, I don't have to fight this the whole time, you know, whatever that phrase is, no skin off my back. Like, it's not bothering me. If she wants me to do this thing right now or do this thing a certain way, I can. Instead of disagreeing with her and insisting it was my way, it's like, you know what, this actually doesn't bother me. It's not a problem for me to do what she wants or do it the way she wants. And that also made me start to take care of her more, where I would do things for her, ask if she needed anything. I'm sure that's part of just like becoming an older teenager, where you realize that like there are other people in the world, and maybe when you stand up and go to the kitchen, you could like offer someone else a snack or a drink that you could go get while you're there and bring it to them. And so I used to do that for her, and basically things turned around in our relationship. There wasn't tension. I was offering to help her. She didn't have to ask. I was more agreeable, and we had a better time together. And also I knew that we didn't have a lot of time left because she was sick since I could remember. And I just knew that we were both getting older. The last lesson for this spring is from my mom, Jill. I'm going to sum this up for this episode by saying that my mom's ultimate goal in life is to be kind. It is the most important thing to her, and she will make sure that she's kind to everyone, anywhere. The lesson is to put yourself out there in service and kindness. And this is why I got that from my mom. As I've gotten to know my mom more, I realized that she is always doing things with people that she doesn't know very well. And that's because she's making friends wherever she goes. She's not being choosy about her friends in a way where she's really accepting of other people. She'll hang out with anyone or try spending time with anyone. She offers to teach people how to sew or quilt. She takes care of people's children without pay, I'm talking. She donates quilts to a charity. She volunteers her time. It's like a life of service. And what I think I didn't realize when I was a kid was that she wasn't really close to all these people. She spent a lot of time with people, whether they were like volunteering with her or if she was serving them. And I thought they were friends, and maybe they were, and maybe they developed friendships, but I thought they were her friends because she talked about them and I saw them at our house. And what I realized is she was putting herself out there in order to be kind and serve others. So bettering yourself this spring through kindness and service, you have to say yes, or you have to sign up. I don't know if people are gonna come to you if you don't put yourself out there and make your willingness known. Being kind of takes time out of your day, and you have to notice others. You have to put yourself out there to be brave enough to say something nice when normally maybe nobody would say anything. You have to give people the time of day. So I just encourage you to put yourself out there. To recap, these 3 lessons that you can take forward are: you can change your life whenever you want and learn something new, regardless of the world's expectations. You can think about what you can do for others that might make their lives easier when you maybe have some resistance to that, and just put it in perspective. What is really important here? Is what I want really important? Or can I do this other person's way this time? And lesson 3, put yourself out there so you find moments to share kindness and service with the world, and you won't know what surprises might be in store, of what connections you might make, or what legacy you could be leaving while people are watching. As always, thank you for listening. Subscribe if you haven't, and check us out online at Smart Veg Head. Bye.